Hello everybody and welcome back. At the beginning I paint most difficult spots to reach and then I paint all the rest. I like to use Mr. Surfacer as it's a very forgiving black primer. Make sure to thin it down with a retarder type thinner. It gives time to your paint to evenly settle on the surface. It helps to avoid such effects as sand or orange peel. As an alternative, you can always use Mr. Color Leveling Thinner. Basically it's the same as a retarded type thinner. For ammunition priming, I use Cyanin 7 white primer. Looks like the white primer has a different formula, as far as it requires a more aggressive thinner. I had to use a thinner dedicated to car paints, as it's more aggressive and contains acetone. Thinner for car paints makes the primer very dry, that's why a retarder mild is required. From the other hand, Cyanin 7 black primer do not have such issues. It can be easily thinned down using Tamiya or Mr. Color Leveling Thinner. The white paint is always more difficult for thinning as far as it contains a lot of pigment in it. I mix paint to a consistency of milk. A 0.5 mm nozzle is used. I like to apply a thicker layer of paint on models that will be carried by hand or touched a lot. Unfortunately, the ammo crate base coating footage is lost, but it's similar to priming. In my experience, Tamiya metallics apply better in thin coats. If you're looking for a finer grain metallics, you should look at Mr. Color Special Metallics line. For our shell case application, Tamiya grain size is okay. Here I mixed a bit lighter shade of German grey, because Tamiya paints get darker once dried. Tamiya paints are too matte by default. That's why I add a bit of clear varnish. This helps with a better paint flow and self-leveling. As an alternative, you can also paint the projectile on a field green color. However, this comment applies only to Granata 38. Tamiya enamel paints are really good for brush application. Once fully dried, if you add another layer on top, it won't dissolve the previous one. They dry longer than latex acrylics, but they are more durable for non-static models. Paint markers are really good to be applied on small areas. If you try to apply it on a bigger area, you might notice some marker paint strokes. Typical marker application for me would be polished metal parts, APC rear view mirrors. As you can see, chrome marker is shinier than Tamiya enamel metallic. Now I'm correcting airbrushed overspray areas. The correction area is small, so I'm not worried about brush strokes. In next step, I will add some shades to the projectile and make it longer a bit. In this step, I use the paint as it is, straight from the bottle. Tamiya LP line has a finer pigment size than X line. They are very good as metallics, and also you can use them straight off the bottle. Those paints are very aggressive, that's why I would consider using them only for airbrushing. Now I will do the same manipulations as with the previous shell. Now let's move on wood texture creation. Basically I use Tamiya accent color. We will need two layers to be applied. The first layer is to make this reddish wood look. The second layer will create paint coverage inconsistency and wood texture look. You can see already the difference between treated and untreated part. To achieve a decent result, we will need to do a few treatment steps. Now I use a darker Tamiya accent color to outline details and add some shadows. Now I'm moving to the internal part of the ammo crate, and here we need to do some blending. Here I'm following the same procedure as before. Here is the texture and final result. To make the overall realistic look, I'm adding some wood chipping effects. Two tones will be used, the mid-tone and a lighter tone. As far as Tamiya paints get darker once fully dried, it is recommended to use 2 times lighter paint to achieve the expected result. So I'm applying a mid-chipping tone on most exposed to damage areas. Now it's time to apply the second chipping coat. Here is the result with a fully dried paint. After applying all those techniques, it finally resembles to a real wood. The last and very important step is varnishing. This part will be often touched and carried by hand. It requires some additional protection. Also, the varnish will flatten out color reflections from Tamiya panel accent liner. It is more difficult to notice where do you apply your flat varnish. That's why it is recommended to rotate the part a bit. Reflections from the light will show you where it is applied and where not. While you are looking at the result on the screen, you might think that wood texture and chips are big, but in fact most of the time you will see the amocrate from a distance. In the final step we are going to paint amocrate lockers and then chip them. Mr. Hobby H18 is a very dark paint. To make it lighter I used Tamiya XF93, but you can use any yellow tone paint to do it. Tamiya Enamel X11 paint is used to add some chips on top of lockers. To not confuse with acrylics, it is stored on square-shaped bottles. And this concludes our painting part. Thank you for watching. If you like what I do, please hit the like button and subscribe.